Well, hello and welcome back to Supposedly Fun. I am Greg, here today to do an unboxing video. I was originally going to do a different video. I was going to do books that I'm looking forward to that are being released in 2020, but I've already done my goal wrap-up and a goal TBR, so I figured I would take a break from the 2020 content and do something a little bit different. I'll save the one about 2020 releases for next week. I'm a little behind on that anyway. Most people have already done them, so it'll be fine. So if you remember in my December book haul, I mentioned that my father moved and I had been storing some boxes in his house. So when he moved, I asked him to ship them to me. He did. So I have 3 large boxes of books and I had one smaller box, which I included in my December book haul. I'm going to open up these boxes. I have one, I have cut it open. Otherwise I have not gone into it yet. I did see the book that's on the top and it's a doozy. But other than that, I'm just going to kind of reach in, grab, and see how that goes. Maybe it'll be entertaining to do it that way, maybe it not. I don't know. We'll find out live. But like I said, the first one is a doozy. So let's just get in here and grab it. Are you ready for this? It's Leadership by Rudy Giuliani. Now, why would I have a copy of Rudy Giuliani's book, Leadership? Well, that's why, essentially. But there's more to the story than the fact that it's signed. So this was published after 9/11, I believe. Let's see, copyright 2002. So it was published the year after 9/11. And obviously, at that time, if you remember, Rudy Giuliani was largely seen as a hero for the way he responded as mayor of New York. This was long before he kind of went crazy as we know him now. And as part of the release strategy, at the time I was working at a Borders in the Short Hills Mall in New Jersey, and they planned a book signing for us and didn't tell us because security for Rudy Giuliani had to be so tight. He just, basically, we got a phone call from Secret Service saying, hey, Rudy Giuliani is going to be showing up at 2, we're going to have some Secret Service agents coming to case the joint about 2 hours before that, and they'll be hanging out. And the manager who was on the phone with them was like, I'm sorry, what? No, you have the wrong store. And they said, no, it's your store. We just couldn't tell you in advance for security reasons. So he just showed up at our store and started signing books. We didn't even have enough of the book to do a signing, so we had to call all the local Borders, send some poor manager driving around. Actually, it was me. I blocked that part out because I was the only manager who had a car because everybody else took the bus. So I had to drive around to a bunch of other stores in the area to pick up more copies of this book so they would be there when he came. He came in through the back, walked right past me. I didn't know he was coming in, so I opened the back door as he was approaching it, and Secret Service was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, oh God, I'm sorry. That's how secretive it was. I didn't even know he was there yet. So they just threw up a table in the front of the store. He showed up, started signing books. And at the end of the whole thing, a former employee happened to be in the store and he wanted to grab a couple of copies. So he got back online to get another one. He asked me if I wanted it. And I said, sure. That's because, again, at the time, Rudy Giuliani was basically a hero. I have never read this book. Given the way things have turned out, I'm kind of grossed out that I now have it. But yeah, so this is the one that I saw sitting at the top of the box. I opened up the box and that face was staring back at me. Fun memory. Weird thing to have. So let's see what's next in this box. Armistead Maupin's Further Tales of the City, another autographed book. This was a gift from my father at some point. There's the signature. I was really into like first editions, signed books, but I couldn't afford to do them. So yeah, and I've never read Tales of the City, let alone Further Tales of the City, but I've always wanted to. So this is a cool thing to have. I'm more excited to have this than I am to have this. Yay for that. Let's see. I wonder if these are the signed or rare books that I had. Yes, they are, because here's a first edition of Airport by Arthur Haley. Why did I decide to order? Oh my God, it's signed. There you go. Oh, it's not signed. It has a signed card. Signed in 1989. There you go. Why did I want a first edition of Airport, you might ask? And 37-year-old me says, that's a really good question. I was really into disaster movies at the time, and I had the DVD set of every single airport movie, and I thought it'd be fun to read the book, and the book was out of print, so I guess I ordered the first edition, which I have not read. 37-year-old me would like to slap me across the face for doing that. 20 or 21-year-olds should not be trusted with money sometimes. But there you go. All right, let's see. Oh, well, that explanation explains this. It's the Poseidon Adventure by Paul Gallico, which tied right in with that love of disaster movies, and I wanted to read the book. This one is not signed, but I'm assuming it's a first edition. I guess this one was not in print when I made the order either. This is not a... Oh, no, it is the first American edition. So, yeah. There you go. Not much to say about this that I haven't already said about Airport. So I guess this is my kind of rare signed books box. Oh, Stephen Colbert's I Am America and So Can You. This is not signed, I don't think. This is just a copy of the book that I had. Obviously, I was a huge fan of The Daily Show back then. I enjoyed the Colbert Report, so yeah, why not? Let's see what's next. Oh, The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. I bought myself a copy of this past year, and it's a really pretty Reader's Digest edition of it, so I don't know. I have an extra copy of it now. I did not know that this was going to be coming, so whoops. Okay, oh, this is something big. Oh my god! It's a French copy of Harry Potter in the Order of the Phoenix. When I was, I think I mentioned at some point on this channel that I was in Europe around 2004, and my souvenirs were all European versions of books that I liked, and my father and my sister thought that was funny. So when Harry Potter came out, the Order of the Phoenix came out, because there was a bit of a gap between its release and Goblet of Fire, which preceded it. They ordered me a French copy of the book as well, and I don't speak French, so I can't read it, but still a fun thing to have. So there you go. Let's see, next is, oh wow, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in French. So I could, we'll see, will it keep going? Do I have a whole set? I don't remember if I do. Okay, here we go. The British version of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which was another gift when it came out from my family, because, you know, obviously I have the American version. I was a much bigger Harry Potter fan at that time than I am now. Okay, let's see. The March by Il Doctorow. This is good. I want to read this book, and I don't think I have a copy. The only book I have on my shelves here by Il Doctorow is Ragtime, and possibly an advanced copy of Andrew's Brain that I managed to get at Book Expo when I was still working in publishing and living in New York City. So that's good. I am looking forward to getting to that at some point. Let's see what's next. Ooh, a hardcover copy, the 40th anniversary edition of Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. I have never read this book, and the reason I got a hardcover is, again, I was 2021, and I was thinking, you know, I had no obligations to worry about spending money, and I wanted to build a library. And I thought, this is a classic book, I should get a hardcover copy of it. So I did. Unfortunately, I haven't read it, so I need to get around to doing that, and it would be nice to have a copy. Actually, my reading goal for the year includes that I need to read more sci-fi. So maybe this will be a perfect fit. I read an excerpt of this in junior high. They gave us a segment of it to read, and then we talked about the book, but we did not actually read the book, which seems odd, but there you go. Let's see. Netherland by Joseph O'Neill. I enjoyed this book. It's a flawed book, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. I read it when it first came out, and then when I went to Columbia, I was taking a class that about literature from 1950 to present, and we covered this book, and at the end we could write a paper about any one of the books, and I wrote my paper about Netherland, because I think the way it talks about immigration is really interesting. Basically, it follows a man who has become separated from his family after 9/11, and his family, I believe, is back in London. He is in New York. He gets involved in the underground cricket scene in New York. And one of the things that I find fascinating about it is that it talks a lot about, basically there are a lot of cab drivers and quote-unquote blue-collar or lower-class people, immigrants in New York City who love cricket from when they were back in their home country, and they have started a league. But cricket in the United States is different from the way it was, not just because the pitches where they play are different and can create bounces, but the rules change a little bit. And I think it's a really subtle way of talking about how you hold on to the customs of your former country, but they change when you immigrate somewhere else. I thought it was a really beautiful thing. That was actually the focus of my paper about this novel. So there you go. Let's see what else we got. The books are standing up, so it's kind of hard to grab them. The Best American Short Stories, edited by Salman Rushdie. This is from 2008, signed by Salman Rushdie. I did not know I had anything signed by Salman Rushdie. That's how long it has been since I have had access to these books. I moved to New York City in 2009 and left all of these behind at my father's house at that point. So it's been 11 years since I've seen these. So there you go. I wonder if there are any short stories in here that I have actually read. Let us find out. There's a George Saunders in here, so I may have read that. Oh wow, there's one by Rebecca Mackay. I don't think I've read any of them, but it's possible. Let's see. Next is The Southpaw by Mark Harris. So I really liked the first book, Bang the Drum Slowly, in this series, so I had it in my head that I wanted to read the rest of them. So there's Bang the Drum Slowly. Let's see if I can find what the rest of them are. Bang the Drum Slowly, It Looked Like Forever, The Southpaw, A Ticket for a Seam Stitch. So I think this is the third in this series, about a pitcher, a bit kind of like the Rabbit Angstrom books by John Updike. It follows his life and his career. He is a young player in Bang the Drum Slowly, and it just follows along. So that was the idea behind this. I've never read it, so I don't know. Maybe. Let's see if I have the rest of the series in here. The White Tiger by Aravinda Diga. I have never read this. This is an advanced reader's edition. I believe this came out, coming in April 2008. I was working at Borders, not the one in the mall, a different Borders at the time when this came out, and I managed to snag a copy from there. So did this win the Booker? No, I don't think it did. But it's something I have actually kind of been thinking about reading for a really long time. So I feel like I might. No, I have an advanced copy of his other book, Last Man in the Tower, on my shelves. So there you go, completing my collection. Oh, next is a copy of The Hours by Michael Cunningham. I just bought a copy of The Hours by Michael Cunningham because I saw a really interesting edition of it in a store. It's coming in my book haul at the end of this month, and here it is, my hardcover copy of The Hours, the one that I actually read back in the day. So there you go. Now I have 2 copies of The Hours. I remember I did not like it all that much, but I have not read Mrs. Dalloway. So I think when I read this again for my Pulitzer Prize project, I'm going to read Mrs. Dalloway with it, probably before it. So there you go. Next is... we're back to the British editions of Harry Potter. This one is Goblet of Fire. There you go. Next is British edition, a paperback of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, we have The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Wow, today's book club. I think they just did. Are they the ones who did do the book club with Jenna Bush now? Jenna Bush Hager? I don't know. I don't pay attention to those very much. But yeah, I remember liking this book a lot when it came out. Something I would probably reread at some point. I have not liked pretty much anything else by Mark Haddon that I've read. So there you go, for whatever that's worth. Here we have City of Thieves by David Benioff. This is something I'd be interested in reading. I may have picked up another copy. No, I have an ebook of this that I haven't read either. So now I have 2 copies of that as well. This is what happens when you get separated from your books for 10 years. A copy of The Alienist by Caleb Carr. Maybe this would be good for mysteries this year. It's something I've heard a lot about. I know that there's a TV series of it now. I have not watched that, so it might be good to check that out. Let's see. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Now, funny story, when this book was published, So I graduated from high school in the year 2000. This was copyright 1999, so it had been out for about a year at that point. And someone gave me a copy then, and but it had been gifted to someone who gifted it to somebody else, who then gifted it to somebody else, who gifted it to me. And in the very front of the book, there were dedications, like somebody would say, "Hey, dear John, happy birthday, I thought you would appreciate this." And they just kept leaving messages like that. So when I finished reading it, I passed it, I wrote another dedication, passed it to a friend of mine, but I wanted a copy, so I went and bought one of my own. And here it is, reunited after all this time. Of course, 18, and just as I was graduating from high school, was whoever gave me that book, I don't remember, was perfect. That was perfectly timed. I don't know that it would be so perfectly timed anymore, but there you go. Next is, oh wow, this was one of my souvenirs from that trip to Europe. Jeffrey Eugenides' The Virgin Suicides. This was a copy I picked up in Switzerland. It was the European version of it at the time, a really kind of bold cover at the time. The only one I think that was available in the United States was the movie tie-in, even though at that point the movie tie-in was about 4 years old. So grabbed a copy of that, and here it is. Next is, so if I remember right, this is an older library edition of To Kill a Mockingbird that I ordered because I loved that book and I was spending money on everything irresponsible at the time. So here we are. It is definitely not a first edition. Yeah, it is a facsimile of the first edition put out for libraries. So there you go. First edition, I'm sure, would be insanely expensive, even for somebody who had no dependents at the time. A hardcover copy of Out of Africa by Isaac Dinesen from the Modern Library. I was collecting Modern Library books at the time. I have since lost or misplaced or probably given away most of them. But I got this hardcover copy of it. We used to watch the movie Out of Africa when we went to a family friend's house. And just because we loved that opening line, I once had a farm in Africa at the foot of the Ngong Hills. And there you go. So I've never actually read the book, so it's nice to have it here in the house now. Maybe I'll get around to it at some point. Okay, what is this? Main Street by Sinclair Lewis. An old copy of it. I don't think this is a first edition, because I would not have been able to afford that. I've never even read this book. I think it's just a rare... Okay, it's coming back to me. I was in a used bookstore at some point a long time ago and saw this and thought, oh, I want to read that someday, and I just grabbed it. And yeah, it was a gift to Edward Kay in 1931. So there you go. That's kind of fun. Now we have Robert Heinlein's The Puppet Masters. I don't know if this is the first edition. I read this book in high school for a sci-fi class that I took, and I was really into it at the time. Don't know that I would still be now, but no, this is not a first edition. It is just an old edition, and I wanted to have a hardcover of it. So there you go. Interesting. We're coming to the end. Getting back to our earlier theme, it's the Towering Inferno. Now, I don't think, a film based in part on this novel. So, okay, so this was originally The Tower by Richard Martin Stern. If I remember right, the Towering Inferno basically just takes the premise and completely goes off and does its own thing after that. So the movie has precious little to do with the book. But there you go, it's back in my life again after all this time. Are we at the end? No. Beyond the Poseidon Adventure by Paul Gallico. I really stuck with a theme when I was young. I guess you gotta give me credit for that. Okay, another British copy of Harry Potter. This one's Chamber of Secrets in paperback. And what do we got? 2 books. Okay, I'll do this one at a time. British copy of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, this time in hardcover. How many copies of Harry Potter am I going to have? Oh, wow. My Left Foot by Christy Brown. So this one, I remember why I ordered it. I had just seen the movie and was really interested in the story of Christy Brown. So I wanted to read the book that he had written, and it was not in print at the time. I don't know if it has been reprinted in the years since. This would have been somewhere around the year 2001, 2002, maybe 2003. So I ordered an out-of-print copy, and I do not think this is a first edition, let alone just from the fact that it's a paperback. Yeah, it is not. So it's just an out-of-print version that I had ordered, so I would have it. I'd still be interested in reading his book, so good to have it. Amitav Ghosh's Sea of Poppies, a novel. I have never read any of the books in this series, so that's good to have. Actually, where is Amitav Ghosh from? If he is from outside the United States, that might be a good one for me to get to this year. There is not... Divides his time among Kolkata and Goa, India, and Brooklyn, New York. So I'm going to guess he might qualify for one of my reading goals this year. Hardcover copy of Freedom by Jonathan Franzen, which I did not finish. Let's see, does it have my bookmark? It does! I left my bookmark in, so if you want to know how far into Freedom I got before I gave up, I made it to page 240. I had marked a couple of things on my index card bookmark. That'll be interesting to go back and do. I don't think I'm going to pick this back up. I'm pretty sure I put it down for a reason, and it can stay with that. Let's see. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix in hardcover, and this is the British edition as well. Coming to the end. Oh my god. It's a high school yearbook. 1998, I would have been a sophomore at that point, because 99 I was a junior, 2000 I graduated. So, yeah, we're not going to go into that right now. All right, next is The Legacy of Ladysmith by John Kenny Crane. This was a book that was given to me by a family friend, the same one we used to watch Out of Africa with. She threw out the dust jackets on all of her hardcovers because she thought the spines looked pretty on the bookshelves. She thought it was something that I should read, and I never got around to reading it, and now it's here, so I should give her a call. She's a lovely lady. I think that's everything. Nope, there is one more at the bottom. What is this? Oh my god, it's photographs. Oh my god, it's our cats. That's Sebastian. We had these cats they lived to be about 20, 21, and 23. Sebastian was one of them. So there you go. Nice little box of photographs. I will go through these later, but that's fun. So there you go. That is the contents of box number 1 that was sent to me by my father. That is definitely everything that was in there. This was fun. I think I'll try to do the same method where I just reach in blindly when I do the next one. So yeah, I got a lot to go through, a lot to shelve. I'm really going to have to consider what I'm going to do with all these Harry Potter books. It's a lot. And all of these disaster books. Like I said, when I was young, if I was interested in something, I stuck with that theme. So you got to give me credit for that, I guess. Anyway, thank you for your time watching this video. If you've made it to this point especially, I thank you for that. If you have any comments on any of these, drop it down below. You know what to do. I will be back. Next week I will do my things I'm looking forward to in 2020, and I will do maybe another unboxing, because I got a lot to figure out here, and I might as well... The sooner I get through the unboxings, the sooner I can figure out what I'm going to do with all of these books. It's a big piles of books on the table. You can't see them, but I'm staring at them wondering what's going to happen. So anyway, thank you. I will be back. Until next time, happy reading.